What's up?
Yep.
Good. Let me call to order the February 5, 2025 Pottstown Council Committee of the Whole meeting. Would you rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, emergency services. Chief Hand, anything to add? If not, his report's in our paperwork. Under infrastructure, Councilor Lebedinsky.
It's in your packet.
Okay, nothing to add there. Transportation, Councilor Proskal.
Not a meeting.
Okay. And ordinance review, nothing. Economic development, Ms. Lee Clark.
Good evening, councilors, Madam Mayor. So today, rather than a particular property, I want to just, after a couple of meetings last week, I thought this was a good reminder of economic development. The downtown is always there's a lot of talk about why do we have empty storefronts? Why can't we do more about this, et cetera, et cetera. We are trying to do lots of different things and come at it from a lot of different ways. But I do want people to understand that there are buildings in those commercial spaces that are literally rubble. And those buildings are very expensive to rehab, especially on today's codes. You need to have ADA compliance, you need to have HVAC compliance. If you have to have fire suppression if you have residential units above there. So that's why the Joe Cerisi bill, House Bill 1573, is so important that we've continued to work with Joe Cerisi's staff on, because that is money that can come to the development of those buildings. Because if you have to bring those buildings up to code, they're very expensive. And to put small retail operations in them, it's very difficult to make those numbers work. So we continue to work on it. We also thank the counselors. At one time in the downtown, a building was not considered vacant if residential above commercial was occupied. So there was no incentive for those landowners to get a commercial tenant if they were paying for their building right through the residential. So now there is something on the books that actually, if they are not actively pursuing commercial occupancy, even though they have residential on the upper floors, there is a price for that. So those are the types of things that we do, that we continue to work on, but it is not that anybody is ignoring what is going on. And we also have a very, very long, stretched out downtown. It's a big place. So we continue to work on that. We will not stop, but just thought that a little reminder about how the current condition is and what we're up against is always important to understand. Secondly, January, February, March, it's tough. Small businesses, it's tough. So please, anybody that can go in, buy a gift certificate, even if you're not ready to use it right now, for anything in the retail establishments, the restaurants, anybody that you can think of to give a little gift to, anything that you can spend in these establishments, really important. Don't forget about 799 State Street. For years, that was empty. The Grocery Bargain Outlet is up there. It's a wonderful store. Please make sure that you are up there. when you run into Tractor Supply to get your, stuff to deal with an ice storm or your snow shovel. So make sure you stop into those places. Really important, Ocean State, as well as the Goodwill stores, and those smaller operations that are up there. So that is my report for economic development for this month. And if you would like, I'd be happy to go into land bank.
Thank you.
633 Walnut, the board did send a minimum purchase price of $35,000. It is out. The application process is out on social media, as well as it was emailed to the regular list of people that have already come to look at properties. The deadline for submission is Monday, February 17th, and they submit a purchase application at landbank@pottstown.org. Oh, I forgot one other thing. Paid moved offices. So we are now at 1200 East High Street. It was a decision that we should move because it is a financial decision. We have a much better rate. So if you're looking for us, we are at 1200 East High Street on the 3rd floor. And we have a new phone number, but the phones aren't working yet, so just watch for that on social media. Thank you.
Thank you. Human Relations, Ms. Levengood.
Good evening, councilors, council president, and Madam Mayor. February is Black History Month, where we honor the incredible contribution the Black community has made throughout United States history, from civil rights leaders to artists, politicians, and inventors. We celebrate the Black history from past to present. President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month in 1976. It was during the celebration of the United States bicentennial. He urged Americans to, and I quote him, "seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history." The Human Relations Commission is proud to recognize 2 Pottstown residents for Black History Month. The first is Annette Kolb. Annette is a lifelong resident of Pottstown. She volunteers for the NAACP as a branch officer and promotes all NAACP areas, especially the women of the NAACP or WIN. Her volunteering passion with Mission First on High Street is with all aspects of that organization: feeding the community, coordinating food and clothing drives, interacting with people in need, and advising them on what they need to do and where to go for assistance. She's impacted and continues to impact so many individuals in Pottstown. Annette, we have a proclamation for you signed by the mayor. Come on up here, Ms.
All right.
We got you.
Yeah, you
They
got
got
me
you.
good.
They
You
got
me
you.
good.
They got you. She did
Just
not.
doing what everybody else, what I enjoy doing is what I'm supposed to do. That's all.
We talked today.
Yeah, she knows I'm upset.
Nothing. She just did not want the recognition.
Right.
And a few years ago, I'll tell you a little story. A few years ago, I understand one of our commissioners wanted to recognize her during Black History Month, and she said adamantly no. And unbeknownst to me, one of those individuals, and 2 of those individuals, nominated her, and I said, okay. But they kind of failed to tell her until the very last minute. She knew she wanted to come here today, but it's all good. And Annette, thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
The second is Arthur Art Green. Green was born and raised and educated in Westchester, Pennsylvania. He graduated with a bachelor's and a master's degree from Westchester University, where he majored in secondary education with a concentration in chemistry. Upon his graduation from Westchester University in 1965, he was hired as the first African-American teacher at Pottstown High School.
Oh,
Yes, the elementary and junior high had minority teachers at the time. And at Pottstown, he taught chemistry and general science. He was a junior high football coach and was advisor to the high school key club. While teaching, Mr. Green was also the president and assistant negotiator for the Pottstown Education Association. It's an affiliate of the Pennsylvania State Education Association, PSEA, and the National Education Association, NEA. It is while serving in this capacity, he was encouraged to apply for a 6-month affirmative action intern position with PSEA/NEA. He was one of the 3 persons selected for the internship program position and was hired before the internship position ended. He was employed by PSEA for 27 years, serving as a UniServe representative, arbitration specialist, and education/communications director. After retirement, Mr. Green did some family things and some little minor jobs, and he ended his working career at Montgomery County Community College, tutoring chemistry, biology, and math. Over Mr. Green's 60 years in Pottstown, he was on Borough Council for 6. He was on the board of the former Visiting Nurses Association of Pottstown. He was president and board member of the Pottstown Regional Public Library, and he was a board member at the Historic State Theater in Boyertown. He was also a member of the Pottstown School District Task Force to decide the realignment of the elementary schools. And he served on the Spina Bifida Association of Delaware Valley. Currently, he is on the board of the Pottstown Hospital, Tower Health, and is serving his 5th term on the Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Board, having been board chair for 3 years. He's been married to his lovely wife Judy for 51 years, has 3 wonderful children, and 3 spectacular grandsons. Mr. Green has impacted so many individuals and continues to do so with his work in the community, and we just felt it was just very appropriate to honor him during Black History Month. And Mr. Green, we have a proclamation for you signed by the mayor.
All right, yes.
My area is science. I've been working in education all my lifetime. As a student, working, as a teacher, working, as a union representative for public school teachers. Education is the gateway to being successful in our country, even though it's hard. We know that we have to do some things with the economic disparity that exists in our country. Education is going to be a part of that. And the only thing I would ask most of you to take a good look at, I'm not a musician, although I like music, I don't like all music, but I like music. Rolling Stones magazine has picked out 100 of the most classic resistance songs that have been produced here in our country. I'm asking you to take a look at that and listen to the music, listen to the lyrics. The words that were spoken when I first came here to Pottstown in 1965 are just as accurate and vibrant then as they are now. So we have a lot of work to do, and we need to do it together.
Just a few other things. Remember your Valentine on February the 14th. President's Day is Monday, February the 17th. It's a federal holiday, an occasion to remember all U.S. presidents. And the commission's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, February the 11th, 6 o'clock in council chambers, and all are welcome to attend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and now from the library, Mr. Basoli.
So first, the elephant in the room. I am not the person you are used to receiving this report from. That is because Angela Brown and the Pottstown Regional Public Library have parted ways. Effective January 9th, I have been serving as interim director for the Pottstown Regional Public Library. And, you know, I have to assure you guys that what I lack in directorship, I more than intend to make up for in interimship. So I would emphasize the interim portion of my title. Now, Ms. Vanny, I know you might ask, with everything the library is facing now, is this really the time for a change in leadership? And Mr. Wayand, you might inquire, what, if anything, I'm being paid for my services? And first, guys, I'd like you to leave your questions for the end, please, and let me get through this. But since you've asked, I will answer them. We don't have control over the events that happen to the library. We only have control over how we react to them. And we're trying our best to react in the way that we think is in the best interest of the library and the community. And if someone disagrees, we've got 2 open board positions that we would love to hand to you. As for my pay, I was the treasurer before I was interim director, so I was well acquainted with what a director made. I did not know what an interim director made. Turns out it's about negative $3,000 a year. So we've got that sorted out.
It's 3,000.
And now that I've covered that, I want to talk about some brief accomplishments that we've had, because we've had, in times of hardship, we've had some triumph. So, the Children's Library, the flood, the leak is repaired. We're reopening next week. Done. The roof, $10,000 in repairs have been set aside, sorted. We fundraised over $60,000 in January due to the no small help from our community. And we managed to successfully break a 14-month cycle where we were hemorrhaging money month over month. And we have had 3 successive months where we have raised more funds than we have spent. And we are optimistic that February will continue that trend. We got our grant application in for Joe Cerise's money, done. We updated our state aid deposit information, so we're getting the state aid, done. The new accountant onboarded, done. We had Megan Beeler, one of our librarians, win an award for a program on sign language that she conducted. She came runner-up to a program that was about scarves. I do feel that Pottstown was robbed, but that's okay. We're still very, very proud of her. And our volunteer fundraising team raised $60,000 in January. So that's where we're at. We're going to continue pushing forward. We have a search committee for a permanent director, and we hope to fill that as quickly as possible while filling it with the correct candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. And from the Ricketts Center, Mr. Kirkland, anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to, the Ricketts is a thriving as a hub for educational and recreational activities for our youth. They offer ballet classes for kids aged 3 to 5, tap and jazz classes for kids aged 3 to 5, karate classes for kids 7 years old and up. They offer an Excel program, which is to assist kids with schoolwork, assistance, and academic support, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8. The fitness center is available to teens and adults. It's managed by Paul Winterbottom. He's a great instructor. The Ricketts Community Center also have their doors open to the homeless. I just want to thank the Boardtown Services team, and also like to thank the director and all the staff and volunteers at the Ricketts for their excellent leadership. I hope to work more with them this year, especially with the borough, to come up with some good marketing opportunities. Because I wholeheartedly feel that it's more than a localized community center. It's a citywide community center. And the services they offer is a citywide services. And it really needs to be better used by the people. So I hope to, do more with that. Thanks.
Very good. Counselor Lindsay, who we know from the school district.
So I created a packet for, I guess for the borough, for anybody who didn't know we had a curfew. So it's rules about the curfew. So I just put that in there, and if you have any questions, you know how to contact me, or you can contact the school district, and this information is on the school district's website. So, I just wanted to, just try to inform our residents that there is a curfew in Pottstown.
Okay, thank you. And from our solicitor, Mr. Garner, any words of advice for us?
I hope so. Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Looking at the agenda, there's a number of items that relate to civil service. So I thought we could briefly discuss a refresher in civil service and why we have to have it and how it works. And I'd be happy to answer questions rather than just talk about the process. But essentially, the state law doesn't allow us just to hire any police officers we want. It requires us to establish standards, criteria, and qualifications through our civil service rules and regulations. And then it requires interested candidates essentially to go through a rather comprehensive testing process. The testing process includes a written test, an oral test, a background check, a physical agility test, psychological evaluations, a lot of components to the testing. And those candidates that successfully complete the testing process and meet or exceed the minimum requirements in our rules and regulations become eligible and candidates to be Pottstown police officers. And if you would look at item number 13 on your agenda, you'll see that it says civil service list approval. And essentially, what has occurred and what you will be doing this evening is approving that list. The Civil Service Commission has certified the individuals that have successfully passed the testing requirements. And it's your job then to basically bless that list and use that list for hiring future police officers. Um, Unfortunately, in this case, the list is rather small. There's only 4 names that are available for hire. The chief will certainly talk about that, but the list is valid for 1 year. It can be extended for 2 years. In years past, and I think the chief would acknowledge that the list many times is longer, has 8 to 10 to 12 candidates to pick from. Under the rules that the state requires, if you're going to hire an officer, you're allowed to consider the first 3 names on the list. If you're going to hire 2 officers, you can consider the first 4 names on the list. It's called the rule of +2. The only caveat is that if any of the eligible candidates in 3 or 4, whatever you're considering, happen to be a veteran, you must choose the veteran. That's called the veteran's preference. So tonight you will be approving the list, and subsequent items will be making or approving, hopefully, conditional hires for the police department to replace some of the officers that are going to leave through retirement. So that's the process in a nutshell, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about civil service.
Anyone?
I do. Is the reason that the list is so small is just there's not applicants?
I would say yes. It seems over the past few years, and again, for probably many reasons, there seems to be less of an interest of folks to get in law enforcement. And I think a direct corollary to that is that we're getting less applicants and therefore less people testing and less people on the list. Hopefully that can turn around, but I'm sure the chief can give you numbers about how many applied, but this is the culmination of the process by creating a rather small list, at least at this point.
And then I may have missed it, I got distracted, but you said that they go down the list, like in order, if you're hiring 2 officers, then it's the first 2?
No, you're not required to pick in order. Historically, the borough has, and the chief has usually recommended, the top scoring candidate. But if you were going to hire one candidate or one officer, you're allowed to consider the top 3. If
Okay,
you were hiring 2, you could consider the top 4. If you were hiring 5, you could consider the top, I'm sorry, 3, you could consider the top 5. So again, you have some discretion in your appointment under the rules, but typically we've always hired the individual with the highest score. But at least there's some discretion in the process.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I like the idea about the veteran. I didn't know that existed. That, if it's, I just want to get this straight though. If you have 3 candidates and a veteran is on the list, among those 3, and even though someone else on the list might be more qualified than the veteran, we're obligated to choose the veteran?
That's correct. That's under state law that if any one of the ones that are eligible that you're considering is a veteran, you must select the veteran, even if someone else has a higher test score.
Okay.
So it's called veterans preference. That applies to initial hires. It doesn't apply when you're promoting, but it does apply when you're hiring initially. So I think the intent was to, provide the veteran a little bit more of a advantage, I guess.
I'm just curious, would that classify as a DEI hire?
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, but that's just what the law is.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Garner.
You're welcome, Dan.
Mayor Hendrick, your report.
Good evening, everyone. Since last time, I had many, many meetings and deliberations with the MCDC Judicial Screening Committee, and I am pleased to report that it was an extremely hard task. Very proud of our work. I'm very pleased with our nominations to be presented to for endorsement. I want to thank all the candidates, and for those who didn't make it at this time, don't let this discourage you from trying again next cycle. I want to thank Mike Gemp and the Philadelphia Auto Show personally for a generous donation of admission tickets to the Philadelphia Auto Show. You made a lot of Pottstown kids very, very happy, so thank you. I volunteered for paid and helped to decorate 2 planners on High Street for MLK Day. We had our pension board meetings. I was able to mentor my little with Strive at the high school. We had our Area 1 meeting. I had a meeting with Opportunity House and the debaters and inspected the days in the rooms, and the operations over there seem to be going smoothly. And I've done a lot of behind-the-scenes work on internal policies and education on civil rights. Upcoming events. February 22nd is Coldest Night of the Year Walk. It's a fundraiser for Beacon of Hope. Council, you should have received an email from me asking you if you could kindly join the Mayor Squad team. We will be walking 3 miles. The walk starts at 5 or 6. Entrance is at 4. It's only about an hour walk. It's a lot of fun. We did it last year. So please, if you can help or if you can donate or sponsor, we'd greatly appreciate it. If council permits, I can present the rest of the upcoming events section of my report on Monday. That's okay. And just a few announcements. I want to thank Alexa Berry for all her hard work. She has really hit the ground running and handles hardships with such grace. And I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you. So thank you. And lastly, go Birds, go Saquon. See you Monday. Thank you.
And from the Borough Manager, Mr. Keller.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And I have a few updates for you all tonight. The libraries was mentioned has gone through some difficult times with some accidents that happened there. And in addition, some may not know, but in addition to the borough's contribution, the borough also pays for the library's insurance, property insurance policy through our policy. So we were glad to hear that the claim was accepted by our insurance carrier. They're still kind of working through their investigative process there. But just wanted to let everyone know that borough staff has been working closely with the library to help them through that process of the insurance and getting the reimbursement. This week, staff has been working with Paid to prepare the necessary items for the bid advertisements. Those will go out tomorrow. They'll be mailed, and then they'll also be posted on all the properties impacted by the bid. And then just as a reminder, we will hold a public hearing on this matter on March 10th at 6:30. That'll be prior to our regular meeting that we'll have that hearing. So if anyone has any questions or wants additional information, the bid plan and other relevant information is posted on our website. Excuse me. As an updated, I did attend the County Commissioners meeting with Councilor Manastra. And last week, the commissioners did authorize the execution of a lease and a contract with a service provider for the temporary shelter at the Days Inn in Pottstown. So we are expected to have the county's zoning hearing variance requests hopefully at the March council meeting. So things are all kind of falling into place under that regard. And just want to kind of remind everyone that some of the conditions on that is that it will be a temporary location that will be in operation until the permanent shelter opens by Beacon of Hope. And also it will be limited to housing Pottstown area metropolitan region residents. So those are kind of some of the main conditions that we've discussed with the county thus far. We'll have others as we get their application and we're able to discuss with council what they want to see, but we expect that process to move forward fairly smoothly. A couple of project updates for everyone. The Schuylkill River Rail Passenger Rail Authority will be holding an upcoming meeting in Pottstown on April 28th. That's a public meeting, so anyone is invited to attend. And they're also going to begin a marketing campaign on billboards along Route 422 to advertise the Amtrak bus service in an effort to create more awareness for this option for our residents. Staff has recently met with PICO. There is going to be upcoming underground gas main replacement work for 2025. So this builds on the effort that was conducted in 2024. This project area will be slightly east of the area that they're currently working on now. The area that they're working on now pretty much has all the mains, and I think they have about 7 lateral connections left to do. This was the Hanover Street corridor. That will be then paved in the springtime. In the meantime, in March, late February or March, they're going to start an adjacent area in the downtown on Evans Street, and that'll generally be between Lincoln and South Street, kind of along that corridor there, and impact some of the side streets. So they hope to have that wrapped up by May, and then in June, they'll begin a second project on the east end of town on Roland and South Street. So we anticipate that that will happen after the school has ended for the year, so it shouldn't impact Rupert Elementary. And that's one of the things that we appreciate having these meetings with PICO to try to coordinate all these different things to make sure that we're trying to account for events in the community like parades, to make sure that you know, the construction has to happen, but let's make it as safe as possible for everyone. Also to coordinate the work that the Borough Authority and that the borough is doing on the roadways as well, so that we're not digging up a newly paved roadway. And they've been very receptive to that. They've got a good team there. And as soon as we have more info on these projects, we'll be posting them on the project page of our website. Lastly, we recently received word that the Kime Street Bridge replacement will be starting in February, so this month. H&K Group is the contractor that is going to be working for PennDOT and Montgomery County for the project. And part of the project are impacts to Industrial Highway. And this will involve a full road closure on Industrial Highway, which they are planning to begin on February 10th, 2025. So motorists are asked to avoid this area by using the posted detours, which mainly are Kime Street and Moser Road. And the closure is expected to be in place for at least 1 year, but it could possibly be a little bit longer than that. The bridge is expected to be completed in the summer or fall of 2026. So good news to see that that project is getting started a little bit earlier than anticipated, because I think previously they were reporting it wasn't going to start until March or April. Yep. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Number 10 is land development. Mr. Garner.
Yes, thank you, Dan. I think council is very familiar with this project. You've seen it through a conditional use process. You've analyzed it when the applicant went for relief for parking requirements. I think there was a brief presentation last month concerning the status of the project and where it is. The Planning Commission has been reviewing this the past few meetings. At its January meeting, the Planning Commission did recommend preliminary final approval of the plan. The conditions imposed were the normal conditions, compliance with the engineer's letter, the county planning letter. There was a landscape review prepared by Simone Collins. All of those issues have been agreed to by the applicant. There would be a payment of fee in lieu of the required trees. You as Borough Council would need to approve the architectural elevations of the building. There was some concern about signage and designating Penn Street a portion of at least one way, and agreed to address that as part of its final plan submission. So the recommendation from the Planning Commission was very favorable. I believe in your packet you also have a waiver request letter for a project this size. I think there are 7 waivers. They're all pretty standard and typical as well. The applicant's here tonight to answer any questions and provide you any final information you need. Dan, did I miss anything from the Planning Commission?
Not at all.
Mr. Murray's here. Mike, if you want to explain to council where you guys are, and hopefully you can get a shovel in the ground quickly.
Yes, thank you. And you stole a lot of my thunder. Chuck gave a good synopsis of where we are. As you remember, this time last year, we did receive zoning hearing board approval in March, conditional use approval from council in April. Since that time, we subsequently submitted the land development plans, have been going through that review process, and we did appear before them in January and received a unanimous recommendation. One of the highlights was that there was an outside consultant with regard to adding some additional landscaping, and the applicant agreed to everything that was in that letter to enhance the parking lot landscaping and some of the perimeter landscaping. And I think we're ready to go. The developer's excited about, moving forward and trying to get a shovel in the ground this spring.
Very good. Any questions? Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Dan, we will list it for Monday. There'll be a formal motion with conditions as well as a motion for granting the waivers.
Wonderful. We'll list that Monday. Now, I need to, pardon?
I just said, thank you, Mike.
Oh,
Okay.
Can you open any of the links?
all right,
Open any of the links on the agenda?
Park Annual Report. Oh, Mr. Leonard.
It opens with Copilot. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, good evening, councilors and Madam Mayor. I am going to keep this quick and short because I know you have a lot to do. So I did ask for an opportunity to present this to everybody because the park program is something that you authorize payment for every 5 years. It's on funding resolution, so it is important for you to know what's going on, how it's succeeding, so you know what your bang for your buck is. And then also you have an opportunity to ask me any questions. But I will keep it pretty brief and just run through the report. And I'll probably reiterate some things you already know at the beginning here, just for public knowledge. Next slide. Okay, so Pottstown Area Regional Recreation Committee, it's an intergovernmental cooperative agency, and it's formed by 8 of our neighbors and us. You can see listed up there what the committee is, that we have Lower Pottsgrove, Upper Pottsgrove, West Pottsgrove, Douglas, North Coventry, East Coventry, and Washington Township. Washington Township was added last year. As a reminder, we're now covering 3 counties worth of municipalities. And we are employing Patricia McCloskey, that is the park planner, and it's kind of to sing her praises that I like to give this report, so you know what a hard work and good job she's doing for the borough and for park. Also, with the addition of Washington Township, we hit the funding resolution mark to add an assistant for Tricia, and that is Shelley Kritschke, who also interned at the borough before she had opportunity to work as Tricia's assistant. Now, not noted up there, because this is an older version of the report, and I do want to make note, is Craig Kalistra of Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation. He does a lot of work and has done a lot of work to help us establish ourselves as an intergovernmental cooperative agency when we made the transition from subcommittee of PMRPC to an ICA. Craig did a lot of the work on that. And Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation really, they really make this happen. They pay half the bill, and then the rest of us pay the other half, split 8 ways. So they are really foundational in the success that we experience there, and it's important to note what they do and what Craig does to help us succeed. Next slide, which is the best slide. Hopefully you can read that. So this is relative to our 2024 fiscal year, and this has to do with the grants that were secured with park participation. So essentially, these are all grants that Tricia McCloskey either wrote herself from beginning to end, or wrote the primary pieces of with participation from staff. Note, respective to the borough, these are not all the grants that we do. It's important to note that, Tricia does the park grants only. We have other staff that are working for the success of the other departments of the borough, and then there's also a lot of grants that make Pottstown Parks and Recreation happen. We don't ask Tricia to write all of those. That would be, we'd be taking up more of her time than we really pay for. So this is the portion that she participates with for all of park, and the numbers you see there for us are for 2024. So in 2024, there were $2 million in grants secured for park municipalities. The largest portions of those were for successful local shares account grants. So that's a big, when you get something like that, you're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that accounts for some of the numbers you see up there. For the lifetime of park since 2015, when it was established, that's $7 million is the total haul. And again, $2 million of that was just in 2024. So we've really been growing our capacity and are growing our capacity for success. So what we're doing is working, and the growth that you've seen is also working, and it's being managed very well by all the municipalities that sit around the table. To speak on behalf of my colleagues that come to those park meetings monthly, there's a lot of folks that are giving a lot of their time. So I urge you, when you have opportunity, look back at that committee that's up there. Tricia and I are about the only people who are paid to be there. Everybody else that's giving their time from those participating municipalities for success, they volunteer their time mostly to be at that. forgive me if I mentioned this already, of the 7 million, 1.5 million to date has been secured for Pottstown through the park program. If we go to the next slide, this is an example of some of the projects that were completed in 2024 with park participation. You can see that Chestnut Street Park is up there. That was a grant that was written in part by Park. I believe that would be the DCNR grant. Just below that, and I think I see some of you up there in that picture, that's the Riverfront Park Bridge. That was a Monco 2040 grant. And a Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation grant that really made that happen. Bottom right corner, our other bridge ribbon cutting from 2024. That's Memorial Park Bridge. I believe it was the DCNR grant that was primarily secured through Tricia McCloskey and Park. I do want to note that the Monco 2040 that paid for the other portion of that was secured by Courtney High. And then on the bottom left, we have our signal box murals. And that's something that Tricia really brought to Pottstown through her independent connections for funding through Park. So Park made that possible wholesale with, of course, the participation of the community leaders that make that successful. Next page. And we still have more pages. And I'll skip right to the end there, which we had our annual golf fundraiser, our first annual golf fundraiser. We'll be doing that again in 2025, so stay tuned for that. Many of you participated and supported us on that one. I hope to see you all again. We genuinely had a lot of fun, and we were able to raise funds for the municipalities through the Park Foundation, which is a utility of Park. It really just gives the borough and other municipalities access to funds that they wouldn't otherwise have. A lot of the places that will only give to 501c3s, such as your Walmarts, such as your Wawas, we now have access to those. The intent is to use that fundraising arm really to secure capital matches. The idea being that we have a lot of grant opportunities, we being the participating municipalities. This gives us an opportunity to pick up additional match funds for those grants through these funds. And I believe that is, one more, which is by the numbers. This is a cool way to look at what was accomplished. You can read that for yourself. I won't run through it, but it's, these by the numbers have been a lot of fun, but also I can't read that far away, sorry. And paired down in black and white on my end too, so you're on your own. All right, I believe that's all I wanted to cover. I wanted to let you know that we're succeeding. If you have any questions, feel free to lob them at me now. We are in year 2 of our 5-year funding resolution. We pay about $8,000 and change for this right now. So your $8,000 in 2024 yielded you, what did I say? I think it was about 300,000 is what we pulled in 2024. Any questions?
Great job, Mike.
All right, thank you for your time.
Okay, are we? Oh, grant. Monco 2040. Yours?
You want me to cover this one, Michael?
Oh,
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
you're so good at this.
Yeah, well. Okay, so briefly, we would like to apply for more money from the county, Monco 2040. And I do have to plug, I'd say that the county has been very supportful of what we do with Monco 2040 funds for the park system. We wouldn't have the bridges without their support, the bridges that we put in last year. So we would like to ask them for $135,300 to round out the funding for Brookside Park. Brookside Park improvements have already secured $30,000 from Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation and $165,000 from DCNR. The overall project is anticipated soup to nuts at $631,000. So what we'd be looking for from Monco 2040 would be to fund the components of accessibility, planting at the location. Those are the things that are eligible. The major part of Brookside is installation of a playground. Monco 2040 won't pay for a playground like that, so we're going after the other components of the master plan for Brookside. There will be a public meeting on final design for Brookside in March. so the public, especially the neighbors, can participate in the final design. But essentially what we're looking at is playground, open space, and a replacement for the basketball court there, but not the same thing again, something that's a little bit more accessible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Now, let's see what we remember from our civil service lesson from our solicitor. Chief Markovich.
As Chuck said, we have a new civil service list, 4 candidates for the position of police officer. The Civil Service Commission approved it last week, and I hope that Borough Council will approve it on Monday for us.
Okay. And the candidates, we have the list.
Yes, I believe you have the list there. We currently have 4 existing openings in the police department, and since we have 4 candidates on the list, I would like approval to give conditional offers of employment to those 4 candidates.
Okay. And the last one is 15, the civil service testing approval.
And then since we will exhaust the list, we would like approval for the Civil Service Commission to start the hiring process to create a list over again.
Okay. If there are no questions, we'll list that for approval Monday evening.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now, Mr. Garner again, Pottstown School District, Edgewood Elementary School Project.
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone remembers this, but back in the summer of 2023, you granted a land development waiver for the playground improvement project at the Edgewood Elementary School. As you know, when you grant the land development waiver, it doesn't waive the ordinance requirements. It just waives the requirement to go to the Planning Commission and attempt to short circuit the process. In any event, when the engineer reviewed the plan, is done, there were 2 items that the school district sought some relief from waivers. The first, and the letter should be in your packets, you should have it.
Yeah, we have it.
One of the ordinance requirements is a payment in fee in lieu of open space of $4,500. This is a playground project, it's a school project, and essentially you're getting the taxpayers of Pottstown to pay another taxing body. So they're requesting a waiver of that fee. And they're also asking for the waiver to put financial security for the work they're going to be doing on the project. Staff has reviewed these waiver requests. Given it's the school district, we believe that they're appropriate requests under the circumstances. So if council is inclined to agree, you would vote to grant these waivers at your meeting on Monday night.
Any questions? If not, we'll approve it Monday night.
Hey, Chuck,
Yes,
it's Andrew.
yeah.
The posting of any improvements escrow, waiving that, okay? Does that put the borough at any risk at all?
I don't believe so, Andrew. They're certainly paying all the out-of-pocket fees, and they're actually signing a development agreement. The only thing that we're doing is not making them post the money. If we don't trust the school district, then we don't waive that requirement, but we've never had any problems with their projects in the past. So that's my comment, but I don't see any exposure or risk, given the entity we're dealing with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Certainly.
So that's on for Monday. Records destruction. We go once a year?
Yeah, this is our annual resolution that we ask for every year for the disposition of records in accordance with the PA Municipal Records Act. So there's a list of documents that are on the agenda that are to be disposed of in accordance with that act. So if there are any questions or concerns, let us know. Otherwise, we'll ask for your approval of that list on Monday night.
Okay, hearing none, we'll list that for Monday. Sidewalk art, Mr. Garner.
Yeah, I believe I recall that last summer, Mosaics came in and made a presentation to the borough about a sidewalk art project at their property on Chestnut Street. I believe council was supportive of it. It requires a maintenance agreement for the artwork. It never got approved or signed last year. Project is ready to go forward this year, and we have a final version of the sidewalk art maintenance agreement for your consideration. And I believe Justin can confirm that Mosaics is in agreement with the terms and conditions of the agreement, so it's ready for your approval on Monday night.
Okay. No questions, so we'll list that. Go forth. Having a beer garden.
Yes, they're requesting a beer garden on the 4th of July from 3 to 9 p.m. in Memorial Park. So this is similar to what they do every year.
Okay, we'll list that one. And, the Low Car Show. Coming back.
Yes, the Low Show is back for this year. It will again be on Labor Day weekend. The same closure is proposed as last year. If you recall, they extended it to begin on College Drive at West High Street. So that worked out pretty well for them. And then that will go down to South Evans Street and impact some of the cross streets as well. August 31st from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. They're also asking for a limited closure the preceding night for setup on High Street between Hanover and Charlotte, and on Hanover between Queen and King from 9 p.m. Until the full closure at 5 a.m. So that would be a Sunday night closure.
Okay, we'll list that one. Upcoming board vacancies. We have one one-year term for the vacancy board, and Mr. Durr will be requesting to be reappointed. Okay. Blighted property, 5 one-year terms to expire December 31st, 2025. It's available. Planning Commission, there are 2 4-year terms to expire February 1st, 2025. Mr. Johnson and Mr. Williams have asked for reappointment. Human Relations Commission, 1 4-year term to expire March 21st, 2025, 1 to expire March 13th, 2025, and 1 4-year term to expire October 11th, 2028. And we do have letters of request from 2 applicants so far. Is there a third that I'm unaware of? No, just 2, okay. And Harbs are 1 5-year term to expire April 1st, 2027, and 1 to expire April 1st, 2025. So we'll move on those later. And now it's time for comments from the citizens present.
All right, first up is Vincent Mead. Kismic Mead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, is her
Can you
microphone
speak into the
on?
microphone?
They can't hear you in the back.
You can't hear me
There
now?
you go.
That's better.
All right, good. So I just came kind of to speak about some of the concerns that are happening politically. I know that we are on a local level, but there's still some concerns. So I'm coming to speak as a constituent to find out what's our plan, right? I need to know what we're looking at doing. What is this supposed to look like? I know that there are some things that we may not be able, and I'm not expecting an answer tonight, but I do at some point expect to understand what do we need to know, what do we need to do? I mean, we have children here, lots of families are concerned about ICE, and I know that there are things that are happening in, throughout the country, but I'm talking about here, where I live at. I'm not concerned about, I'm concerned about what's happening in the country, but I'm more concerned about where I live. What do we need to do? Do we have a plan? What is it going to look like? And just to encourage our people to speak out. It's not okay to walk in fear and not know what's safe and what's not. And I want to kind of understand that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, next up is Khaled Ashraf.
Hi, good evening. I'm Khaled Ashraf. I'm one of the candidates for the Human Relations Board. So I just wanted to introduce myself, put a face to the name. I've been in Pottstown for a few years now. Me and my family moved here from Philadelphia. I'm an educator, as you may see from the paperwork. I've served on several boards very similar to the Human Relations Commission, Human Relations Board. So I'm bringing a lot of experience with me to the board. I'm a champion for rights. Again, like I said, I'm an educator. I've been doing this for many, many years. And if approved, I really look forward to bringing my expertise and my experience to the board. So again, I'm Khaled Ashraf. I just wanted to put a face to the name. All right. Khaled, Khaled. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Denise Williams is here, who applied for the Human Relations. And you didn't sign, but would you like to speak?
How are you? So thank you for the opportunity just to put my face in front of you once again. You're familiar, most of you are familiar with me when I come and beg your grace and mercy for Juneteenth. I'll do that in another meeting. We won't have to talk about that today, so no worries. But I am interested in being part of the Human Relations Committee, and I am a dedicated resident for 25 years. Both my children have graduated from Pottstown High School, going on to one graduating from Howard University, the other goes to Westchester University and striving and doing great things. But my reason for being interested is more on a level of my core is to help build relationships. So if some of you are familiar with Be Resilient used to be resilient, healing through the arts. But gone are the days where we can say healing through the arts. What we are doing is helping build resilient communities and minds. And through my exposure through the community, through my exposure through working with different community partners, I am adamant that I will be able to help build a resilient Pottstown. And I would be honored to be part of the Human Relations Commission and be able to bring that that passion that I have for Pottstown, the growth of Pottstown, the betterment of Pottstown. Now is not the time for us to have fear. I hear the young lady that stated about fear. This is not the time to have fear. This is the time that if we are doing what is right, then there's no time for fear. If we're doing what is right, there's no concern. So I would be honored to be part of that commission, and I will see you guys again for Juneteenth. Thank you.
All right, that concludes public comment.
Okay. About comments from our counselors. Counselor Proskal.
I guess be careful with the weather tomorrow. It looks like our brine truck's getting to good use.
Doug has people out. Counselor Banny.
Yes, I just have one public service announcement. Phishing attempts to get your information online are rampant, and they are getting really sophisticated in trying to instill a sense of urgency. I just got an email. It looked legitimate, and if I wouldn't have checked the email address at the top to see who it was really from, it had a DocuSign. They would have gotten my signature. So please don't click on any links. If you get an email from what looks like your bank or something like that, check the email address. You'll see it's not from your bank. Also, don't click it. Pick up the phone and call your bank. Call whoever they're masquerading as. I got one from PayPal. I don't have a PayPal account, but it would have gotten me because it instills a sense of urgency. It told me that there was an unauthorized amount of $400 and some. Well, when you get something like that in your email, it's disconcerting. You feel like you need to react immediately, and you click on it, and you've just opened the door. About 98% of the time, when your information gets stolen, your computer gets hacked, you open the door for them, and clicking on any link opens that door. So always err on the side of caution. Call the company it looks like it's from. Do not respond immediately. And really, nobody's going to contact you with an urgent situation in that way. So just be careful, please.
Councilor Lebedinsky.
I hope Sunday's a great game. That's it.
Which side?
I'm.
Yeah.
I want it to be a good game.
Counselor Lindsay, anything?
Really? I just want to chime in and on Denise's comment as in, don't, I guess don't be, just make sure you have all your paperwork. Let me just say that. For example, if you have a passport, make sure you have an ID, make sure you have your birth certificate, make sure you have your social security card. Just make sure you have some kind of identification, no unnecessary. If you have a ID card or driver's license, you should always carry that anyways with you. And I mean, you just got to do the right thing, just like she said. You have to do the right thing, and you have to you just have to do what you're supposed to do. And then have those documents handy. You have to have those documents with you at all times. And happy February. This is Black History Month. So happy February. I won't be here on Monday because I have to work. And be safe out there. That's it for me.
Counselor Monastra.
Yeah. I would be remiss not to thank all those who helped Pottstown address the challenges that we faced over the past 2-3 years. I would be remiss to not thank the commissioners of Montgomery County, especially Commissioner DeBello. I'd also like to thank State Representative Joe Cerisi. I would like to thank Council President Dan Wayand and Mayor Stephanie Henrick for their leadership in addressing a problem and having a solution that seems to be satisfactory to all or some. And I really appreciate how that came together. But I want to thank them, and I would be remiss in not thanking them all. Lastly, I also want to thank Councilperson Lindsay for coming to the meeting in her favorite team's color, green. Thank you. Go Birds.
Whoa.
That was nice.
He know I'm a Cowboy fan. That's what that is all about. So he's sitting up there talking.
What are you doing?
We're not
What are you doing?
You don't be
This
doing
is
that.
not
You
your
ain't gonna
house.
sit up there talking about
Stop
my
it.
clothes,
Stop it.
wearing my clothes and
Are you
stuff
done?
like that. You
I
know.
would like to say,
Okay.
and then,
Oh, there you go, and you represent my team. We'll go
there you go.
Cowboys.
See?
Yeah.
See? There you go. So, but somebody had to give you that line.
Yeah, your boy.
I don't feed you a line.
I got what you. And I got sit
Anyway,
next to
one
you.
other person.
Who?
Mr. Keller, I also want to thank you as well. Okay, I left you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Counselor Kirkland, you've got to follow the comedy
Yeah,
team
go
there.
ahead.
Just a little my 2 cents in. I've gotten a couple calls too concerning the national stage, what's going on and everything, and how it's going to affect us locally. But I think some of the main questions I've been getting is our participation in it. They don't know if the police is obligated to participate in this thing, or what will our role be, when they come calling. That's what I'm curious about. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I've talked about some other few things with these 2 people. I think that was their main concern was when they come calling, what will our local role be in that whole situation? And I don't know if the chief can send something, an email to everybody to let us know. As counselors, just let us know what his role would be in that, or what our options are in that. I think that would just be good information for us to know, for us to have. So we know how to answer people when they come calling us, because they will. And I don't know if do we have DEI programs here
TE.
in the borough?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, that was another issue, because eventually there's going to be a situation where they're going to, especially if we're getting funds directly from the federal government. I'm not sure if we are or not directly from the federal government. If we are, I'm sure it's going to come down the line eventually that it's going to be dictated on whether you have DEI programs within your organization. You know, you're going to stop that. If you have DEI programs in your organization, they're going to cut off your federal funding. That's the way I see things happen. So yeah, my main concern right now is just to fill us in on how that would work as far as our participation. You know, if they come calling on us, you know, just so we can have some clarity.
Okay. Mayor Henry.
I just wanted to go off of what Lisa Vanny said. In addition to these scams, because I deal with it every day in my day job, I get them every day as well. You'll get an Amazon text that your package hasn't been delivered or is missing. If you shop on Temu, you will get constant emails that your package hasn't been delivered. Please click on this so you can get a refund. Please do not click on any of those links. Just ignore them. If it's really important, that person will find you. They will call you. They will come to your house. Don't click on the link. The day that I was with Lieutenant Morrissey and we were giving a presentation on fraud at the senior center, my identity got stolen and I have had to freeze my credit since then. And I just got scammed at our law firm. People are now signing retainer agreements, posing as clients, and sending cashier's checks for you to deposit it into your IOLTA account to take out their retainer. Good thing I have pay attention to detail and notice that cashiers was spelled incorrectly.
There you go.
So, I immediately reported it to the FBI and the police because there are return addresses on this and they need to be notified. So please, please, please be careful. It's so easy. I mean, it can happen to anybody multiple times. So, thanks.
Can I just add to that?
Add to it.
What is a real hot commodity is your medical information. I work in medical software. There was a Change Healthcare breach. Change Healthcare is a giant clearinghouse where all of our prescriptions, insurance billing goes through. They were breached, I think it was about 1.5 years ago. And all of our medical data is out there. They want that. They can do a lot with your medical data. My father got a phone call. They called my mother's cell phone, asked for him. Said they were from Accucheck, which is a legitimate company. It's diabetic supplies. They said to him that they needed his doctor's name because they needed to give the doctor the results. Now, if you're not feeling well or you're older, you might give that name. Why would that place call you and ask for your doctor's name if they have test results that your doctor sent that order for? So they're going after people also that are elderly, so keep your medical data safe. You don't have to give your Social Security number out, but that is really what they're after right now, and they can do anything with that. That's all.
Okay. Locally, I want to thank Doug Yerger and his team for salting our roads, good preventive medicine for tomorrow's weather. And Little Bird told me that Pottstown schools will not open tomorrow, so I would take their advice. If you don't need to get up and drive anywhere, don't plan on it. And with that, meeting adjourned.